My name is Drew Herstein. I am one of our GAs. I've been with Tommy for about 5 years now. Was back with him in Pittsburgh, moved over to Philly with him, out here to Chicago with him as well. Basically going to be running some training class for you here today. And the topic we're going to go over is all of the no cost benefits that our members get access to. Okay. So the first thing I want you guys to realize about the no cost benefits is the fact that you're not really going to make any money by dropping off no cost benefits to people. Right? I don't want you to be a no cost delivery person. Right? The main reason we're seeing these people, number one, is to make sure that we have them protected with life insurance so that their family is better off when we leave. Right? The main reason we go over these no cost benefits is to build up our company. Right? To give them a little bit of extra. Right? Most of these people are due paying union members, and their dues are going toward their union to make sure that they are making correct decisions for their members. Right? So one of the big reasons why we're able to develop these no cost benefits and able to even get them out to everybody is because we don't advertise. Right? We don't put any money into advertising. We're able to put it into other things like coming up with these benefits, keeping our rates a little bit cheaper, that type of thing. Right? So, and the second thing I want you guys to realize about the no cost benefits is there's not going to be every benefit in every home, if that makes sense. Some people aren't going to get the will kit. Some people aren't going to get the accidental certificate. You know, some people might not need the child safety kit, right? The no cost benefits are going to be a little bit different per presentation, right? And the good thing about that is it's kind of up to you guys to go over which benefits you think are going to help them out. Now, most of the time, I walk them through all of the benefits. So if they're a union member, I go over the child safety kits. I go over the family information guide. I go over the AIL Plus card. And I go over their accidental death and dismemberment certificate. Right? But there's also the free will kit and the needs analysis. So technically, there's like 5 no-cost benefits, maybe even 6. Right? So you got to remember, though, that if it's not a union member, they're not going to get an AD&D certificate. Or if it's not a will kit presentation, they're not going to get a will kit. Right? But what I'm going to do for you guys today is walk you through each one of the no-cost benefits, go over how I would explain it to them. And then if we got time afterwards, you guys can ask a lot of questions on everything about them, okay? Well, we got Brian Pollard in here twice. All right. So the first thing about all the no-cost benefits, you're going to basically do 3 things with each of the no-cost benefits. So the first thing you're going to do, or the first thing you're going to accomplish with all the no-cost benefits, is you're going to describe the benefit, why it's important to them, why they need it, right? So a good introduction to the benefit. The second thing about the benefits you're going to do is walk them through how it works. And then the third thing you're going to do with each of the benefits is you're going to use that benefit to collect referrals, right? Because the leads that we're given are designed to collect referrals from. The more referrals you get, the easier your job's going to be here, guys. Just trust me on that one. Little story, when I went out to Philly and opened up our office out in Philadelphia, you know, I went out there with a bunch of child safe leads. Had to turn those into actual leads and work those leads. You know, with the other agency, we didn't have access to a lot of union members. You guys are blessed here, right? Make sure you guys understand that those union members are designed to go see other members down the road after that. Shouldn't just be one lead and done, right? So the first no cost benefit that, and there's no really correct way to go through the no cost benefits. You know, the way I do it is I go from like least intrusive information to most intrusive, or from like least about life insurance to most about life insurance, if that makes sense. So the first benefit I usually go over with every single one of my members is the child safety kits, right? Most of the time I go over with them because I understand, because I build enough rapport and I know that they need them, right? Through rapport, you're going to be able to figure out typically which of these benefits the members are going to need too. So that's why building rapport is very, very important to what we do. You got to get them to like you, right? So I'm going to be able to share my screen back and forth. You guys will be able to see the child safety kits here. All right, so. All right, so you guys should see the screen that says child safe kit on it, right? Okay, so the child safety kit itself, right? First off the bat, what I want you guys to look at here, it's actually endorsed by the International Teachers and Police Unions. There's a big seal right on the front of it, right? So this is the main people we're taking care of this for. The first thing about the child safety kits is you want to kind of throw some stats at them. You kind of want to get them to realize that this is a very important tool, right? And the more important that you make it to them, the more they're going to see importance in it, and then the more people they're going to refer into it because they think it's important. Does that make sense? So usually the first thing I start out with the child safety kits, as I say, Mary and Joe, I'm sure you know some people with kids, right? Reason why I say that is because if they tell me yes, then when I'm asking for referrals, they can't tell me that they don't know anybody. They just told me they know some people with kids, right? So always want to start out with Mary and Joe. I'm sure you guys know some people with kids, right? Or they might have kids themselves. If they have kids themselves, that's even better, right? So next thing I always tell them is we actually handle this for the teachers and police associations. And it's their campaign to get as many of these child safety kits out to the community as possible, right? Now, why the child safety kits were designed is because just alone last year, 450,000 children went missing or got abducted. 500,000 kids, right? In Illinois, where our office is located at, Illinois is top 10 for that category. Very scary. Because that's where we live at. It's where we're building our families at, right? And the crazy statistic that you want to throw in there, you know, it's kind of morbid, but to be honest, it's a statistic right from the FBI. The statistic is if those kids don't come home in 24 hours, 93% of the time they don't come home at all. What that means is that first 24 hours is so vitally important to find that kid that if they're not there, 93% of the time they don't come home ever again. Right? So it is very, very important that we get this filled out and we get it to the authorities when something happens. And the best part about this kit is it saves the sharpest parent or grandparent 4 to 6 hours of digging through information and looking it up. Because if something happens, parents aren't thinking about height, weight, eye color, hair color. They're thinking, oh my God, who are they with? Where could they be at? Why aren't they answering their cell phone? Right? There's a lot of different things that are going through the parent's mind. The last thing the parents are worried about is a DNA sample of hair or their fingerprints or their height and their weight currently, or what kind of medications they're taking. All that stuff is gone at first thought because they're panicking, right? Now, I don't know if anybody at the office there has kids, but I know Tasha has kids, right? And Tasha, I want you to use your experience with this part, right? If you guys have nieces and nephews, use this experience, right? There might have been some time where your niece or nephew, you know, you were maybe taking them to the mall and getting some ice cream or something. You know, you got the ice cream in your hands. You told them your little nephew to hold 2 cones of ice cream really quickly while you pay for it. You reach your hand in your pocket, you give him your card, You put your hand back in your pocket, and that 30 seconds you looked away, your nephew's gone. That's all it takes, right? So this kit's designed so if that does happen, all you have to do is give this to the police and they can help that search get started immediately, right? Another crazy statistic is the fact that every single minute that that child is away from the house or missing is one more mile away from the home that they could be, right? And us being here in Chicago, they could be in 3 different states in 2 hours. They could be up in Wisconsin, they could be down in Indiana, and they could even be over to Michigan in 2 hours, right? Very, very scary. So the kit was designed to make sure that if something happens, the police and firefighters know what to look for. So what I usually tell our members here, as I say, this kit is a comprehensive kit to make sure if something does happen, all your kids' vital information is here, accessible, and you can give it to the police really quickly. All right. Now, once I give them that introduction on why it's important and a few statistics on why it's important, I go right into the kit itself. The first thing I do with the kit, though, is if these parents have kids, ask them what one of their kids' name is, for example. Right? So Mary and Joe, what's one of your kids' names, for example? Steve. Okay. So you're going to write Steve's name on the front right here, and then the date it's completed on. Use Steve's name through the whole presentation. Use it through the whole part of this. Make it real. Right? So inside of the kit, it opens up like a trifold. So it's in like a little pamphlet, and it opens up in 3s. So inside of the kit is where all the good information is going to go. So number 1 is Steve's personal information. So anything that's going to change, like the eye color, height, weight, hair color, that type of thing, you're going to put that in pencil. That way you can erase it and change it down the road. Anything that's going to be permanent, like the name, the birth date, the social, put that in pen, right? The second part of the kit is a physical description. Anything that makes Steve unique. Glasses, braces, scars, birthmarks, right? If they have a scar on the elbow, you can mark a little scar on the elbow on the character there and write 1 scar on elbow, right? And I always tell parents, like, if you know, it's a little corny joke here, but if you have a boy and he's over 8 years old and he doesn't have a scar, is he really a little boy then? Right? Because little boys are rambunctious. I got 15 scars on my body. I grew up with 5 brothers. You better believe I had stitches every single year. And a lot of the time it was just roughhousing and playing around, right? So that's just something you could throw in there to make them laugh a little bit. But that physical description is very important. Most of the time, scars, things like that, that's very easily identifiable. And you want to make sure that the parents know that, right? Number 3 would be the DNA sample, right? Another little spot here, you can get the parents to laugh, right? I always ask the parents now, I'm sure Steve's never bad, right, Joe and Mary? And they go, yeah, never bad, right? They'll say something very sarcastic like that, or they'll laugh. They're like, yeah, he's never bad, right? And I would say, okay, so next time he's being bad, instead of grabbing his whole head of hair, right, just pluck 1 or 2 hairs out, make sure the follicle is attached to it, and tape it down here. Now, you want to update this DNA about every 6 to 8 months, right? Because DNA goes bad after a certain period of time. So Mary and Joe, I'm sure your kid's really good, but he's probably bad about twice a year. Use those 2 opportunities to grab some hair out of his head, right? Now, they cannot cut the hair. You might get some parents asking, can I cut his hair? Unfortunately not. The DNA is in the root. It's in the little follicle that you pull out of your head, right? Now, if the kids have really short hair, right, they can use fingernail follicles too. They can use fingernails. your fingernails have DNA in them. Okay. So either a hair follicle or fingernails. We do not want spit or blood on there because that's number one, gross. And number two, if you have blood on there, you might go from a concerned parent to a suspect pretty quickly. Right. So just make sure that there's no blood or saliva or anything like that on there. Use a good source of DNA like a hair follicle or fingernail. They can either tape it down or they can get like a, I don't know if you guys have ever bought like a new suit or a new dress or something like that. And there's always like a little bag attached to it with some buttons in it, right? Use that little bag. That works perfectly for this. They can staple that bag there or tape that bag there. And all they have to do is replace the DNA in there every 6 months. All right. Number 4 on this inside is the fingerprint information. All right. So each one of these kits comes with a police grade ink strip. Right. It's police grade, meaning that it is permanent on your walls, your furniture, your clothing. It will not come off. I'm telling you, it will not come off this. Just as an example to show you guys that it's really permanent. My brother, this is about 3, almost 4 years ago now. I got out to him, protected him and his family, went over the child safety kits with him. And he decided that he was going to be a little difficult and he was going to try to test out the permanent nature of the child safety kits. So what he did was he took his finger and put it in the ink and then rubbed it on his table. Guys, that mark is still there 4 years ago, 4 years from now. It's still on the table. When I go back during Easter, I'm going to make sure that it's still on that table. Now, my brother's wife it does a very good job of decorating. So she has a table runner across it so you can't really see it, but it's still there. He thought it was funny, but it's still on his table, right? So it is very permanent on surfaces. It's not permanent on your skin though. Your skin has oil in it, and it'll come. This ink will wash right off with soap and water. All right. So usually, what I tell my members to do is do the fingerprint kit part either outside when it's nice and sunny on the porch, or do it before bath time, so that they're in the bathroom, and all you have to do is throw them in the bathtub. Right? Make it easy on yourself. Right. And then after I explain the inside to them, I ask the parents, now, Mary and Joe, do you have any questions on the inside of the child safety kit? And they'll typically tell me no. So does any of you guys have any questions on the inside of the child safety kit? How to explain it, how to walk them through it, anything like that? It's pretty self-explanatory. Good. Okay. Now, the number 5 on the child safety kit is the spot where you put a child on the photo. So Steve, I'm sure you have a million pictures of Steve down at the house there. You're going to get a million more down the road. All the police and firefighters suggest that you do is you cut one out every single 6 to 8 months and tape it down there. That way they have an accurate visual representation of your child. They don't want any group photos in here or any photo bomb photos, no birthday party photos, right? Just get a clear HD headshot of your child, right? Now, if the parents don't have any photos of the kids lying around, which I find very, very unbelievable, you can go to Walmart, you can put your phone into this machine in there, and you can print out any picture on your phone for $1. Right? So have them do that. And then on the bottom, you're going to put the age of the photo and the date the photo was taken. All right, so that's 1 through 5, walking through 1 through 5. Now, the next part I go over with parents is the important tips for them. So number 1 is teaching the kids how to call 911. Number 2, teaching the kids about stranger danger. The one I go over with every single parent is number 3. Whoops. Number 3, this is making sure that your child's name is not on any personal items, such as a backpack, a lunchbox, a jacket, gym bag, anything like that. Right? Now, sometimes this coincides with what teachers want to do, because teachers have 40 to 50 kids that they have to look after, and they're trying to keep things organized. So they make the parents put the kid's name on the backpack. right? If that's the case, what the parents should do is use a colored piece of tape, the initials maybe, or like a sticker or something like that. Something that helps identify that that's the kid's backpack, right? Now, the reason why this is important is because kids at, from ages about 3 to about 10 are very, very gullible, right? And if you think about it, a lot of parents introduce their friends as their uncles or aunts, right? The kids don't know if they're family or not until they actually really grow up. Like my dad had a friend named Uncle Bob. I called Uncle Bob for years and years and years, right? I didn't find out he wasn't my uncle until I turned like 18 or 19 years old, right? So there's a lot of people that have that in their lives. And the reason why I'm going over this is because let's say little Johnny's walking home from school. He's walking to the bus from school, or he's walking to his mom's car, right? And, some predator sees that Johnny's name is on his backpack and he says, "Hey, Johnny, come over here. Your mom told me to pick you up from school today. Hop in the van. I have a bunch of candy for you." That's all it takes, guys. Seriously, that's all it takes for a 5-year-old kid to walk in another direction. So having the name on the backpack is not always a great thing because it's easily identifying that kid's name. And if you really think about it, as parents, what's the first thing that you usually teach your kid how to say other than mother, father, mom, and dad? It's their name, right? They teach the kids how to spell their name first too, right? So they know their name. When they hear their name, they just react, right? So having anything on their personal items like their backpack or lunchbox, not a great thing. Don't put the name on there, right? But once I kind of go over, those tips there, now keep in mind if the parent is like, the kid's like 14, 15 years old, you don't really have to typically run through all these. They should know that already. I'm not telling the parents that they're bad parents at all. I'm just running through some quick tips for them, Now, once I describe how the whole kit works, I'll ask them, "Mary and Joe, do you have any questions on how the child safety kit works?" And they'll say no, right? And I'll say, "Okay, God forbid something does happen, Mary and Joe. All you're going to do is you're going to give this kit to the police, and they're going to take a photo of the front, take a photo of the back, and they're going to disperse it to every other officer in the area so they can start that search immediately." Right? Now, what I recommend parents to do with this is I recommend them to keep this either in the freezer or on them at all times. So if they're in the house, keep it in the freezer. Number one, because DNA is preserved a little longer when it's frozen. So they won't have to change it out so often. Number two, if God forbid the house burns down, the freezer and the fridge are usually the last thing that are still there, right? And then number three, I always tell the parents, if Ben and Jerry's are your good friends like they are my friends, you're going to be in the freezer every day and you're going to realize that those child safety kits are there. Or you can say, "Now, Mary and Joe, I'm sure you're in the freezer or the fridge every day, right?" If you see that kit that's in the fridge every day, if you look at it every day, when something pops up, your mind's going to go right to that. You'll know it's there, right? Now, the kit does come in like a plastic bag. So if the parents are going somewhere, they can put it in their purse or in the glove box of their car or something like that. Right? But I suggest they keep it in a safe spot. Don't put it in like a lock box or like a safe or anything like that, because it's going to take more time to get into that safe. And some people lose keys or forget combinations, and you're never going to find it at that point. Right? So my suggestion is typically to keep it in the freezer. Right? Once I explain that to them, I say, "Okay, Mary and Joe, now I just got one quick thing I need for you to do for me. You have your phone nearby you, right? And either they're going to be on their phone or they're going to have their phone right next to them. And I would say, Mary and Joe, grab your phone for me really quickly. I have some very important information I need you to put into it. So I need you to open up a brand new contact, and I need you to save it as child safe kits. And I want you to save this number in there. I want you to save the number 1-800-742-6783. And if something happens to these kits, you damage them, you lose them, they get messy from updating them, or if you have more kids down the road and need more, all you have to do is call that 1-800 number and they can get more kits sent out to you. Right? Does that makes sense to you guys, right? And they'll say yes. All right. Now, I did 2 of those 3 that I told you about. I explained how the child safety kits, why they're important. I walked them through how it works, right? I built the importance of it. Next thing I'm going to do is what? Collect referrals. So when you're collecting referrals from them, there's a script for the child safe referrals, right? It says Mary and Joe. The police and firefighters, they aren't asking for any monetary donations for these kits. So we don't have to worry about that, right? Ha ha ha, right? But what they do ask is that you do your part in the community by sponsoring a minimum of 10 of your closest family member and friends to receive this kit at no cost. Now, I know you told me, Joe, that your brother, Frank, he lives right down the road from you and he has 2 kids himself. So let's start with Frank and make sure he's protected. So Frank's name, is his number 773 or 215, right? What you got to do is get them started with referrals here, guys. Most people aren't just going to willingly go, yep, this person, this person, this person, this person. You're going to run into some people who will do that, right? But a lot of the time, you're going to have to kind of pick the low-hanging fruit, if that matters, if that makes sense, and then make suggestions, right? What I mean by low-hanging fruit is the people that you talk to about in rapport building. Like nice family, you have a big family, a lot of brothers and sisters. Yep, you got a lot of nieces and nephews too, I'm assuming. Yep, okay, great. Right, I use that from when I build rapport over and slide it into this section here. So I suggest you take the first one and then assume the rest. Right, so, okay, Joe, we got your brother Mark on here, and he needs 2 of them, right? You got 1 down, you got 9 more people left to sponsor in. Who's next? Right, now, if you guys can see my body language right now, I'm not staring at them, looking at them. I'm looking down at my paper, right? Because I want them to know that I'm looking down and I'm writing things down, as opposed to staring at them really creepily as they collect these, as they look through their phone, right? So less eye contact here is a little bit better, to be honest with you. You know, if you just keep your head down and stay silent, they'll feel the silence, guys. It's going to be awkward for maybe, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds, but just let it be awkward for a little bit, right? Now, most people are going to give you about half of what you ask for when you're asking for referrals. If you say 10, most people are going to give you 5. If you want 10 referrals, ask for 20, right? Now, the child safe kit is where you're going to get a bulk of your referrals. You're going to get more referrals here than any other spot in the presentation, right? Main reason being, a lot of people have kids. A lot of people that have kids typically know people with kids, right? And if you're a parent, the most important person in your life is your child. You would do anything for them. So getting this protection is typically a no-brainer for them, right? So you might have to throw some suggestions out there. You might have to say, okay, Johnny plays baseball. Who on the baseball team? Which one of the parents on the baseball team do you think this would benefit the most? Right? And they only need a name and number. So the only thing I would need to get these child safety kits out to them would be the name of the parent, how many child safety kits they need, and then the best contact phone number for them so I can reach out to them. Right? And usually I get the relationship as well. So if it's their brother, I write brother. Because when I'm making a phone call to set that appointment, I want that person to know that I was really with them, with their brother. So, hey, Joe, I was with your brother, Mark, and he sponsored you to receive some of his union benefits, one of which being that child safety kit. Now, he mentioned you had 2 little kids, correct? So the more information I know about Brian right off the bat, the better that phone call is going to be. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay. Now, some people are going to be reluctant to give you some child safety kits, some child safe referrals. Some people are going to be like, yeah, I don't know anybody with kids right off the top of my head. Okay, I get that. You know, the way that they found, you know, the most effective way they found to do this is while you have your phone out, if you just go from the contacts from A to Z and just pick out anybody you know that has some little kids, that way we can get them out to them and we can protect their family too. Right? And just by saying those words, people will scroll through their phone. Right? Now, I want you guys to realize something too with when you're collecting referrals. Not everybody is going to give you referrals. You're going to run into some people who just don't know kids. You're going to run into some people who don't have any kids, right? You're going to run into people who don't trust you to give that information. If they don't trust you to give their information to them, that means you didn't build enough rapport. You didn't make this important enough to them. They don't see the value in it, right? If they see the value in it and they see it's important, they're going to refer other people in because they see importance in it. Especially if you build good rapport with them and they trust you as a person, right? Trust is a very, very big word. Our whole presentation and our whole company is built off of trust. Those members trusting us to help out their family. Those unions trusting our company to protect their members permanently. So our whole company is built on trust, right? Now, one good way I found out to, you know, open people up to give referrals is I use what's called the feel, felt, found method. Okay. So you can use this for a lot of things, not just collecting referrals, right? But I use it here a lot of the time. The feel, felt, found method goes like this. Mary and Joe, I understand how you feel about not wanting to you know, give up those people's phone numbers. I understand that, right? So you're empathizing with them at first. I understand how you feel, Joe. You know, and you're not the only member that ever felt this way. Right? You're including them with other people. But what we found out through doing this is the most effective way to get these child safety kits into the parents' hands that need them is for parents in the community to sponsor other parents in the community. That way we can get a good blanket of coverage on the whole area. So if something does happen, everybody's protected. So the easiest way to do this, Mary and Joe, or the most effective way they found to do this is that while you have your phone out, go ahead and go through your contacts A through Z so we make sure we don't miss anybody. Right? Now, if they're doing the presentation on their phone, they can back out of Zoom and go into their contacts, and Zoom will still be up. It'll be a blank screen that says their name or whatever, iPhone or whatever it says. But they'll be able to still talk to you and hear you. They can go into their contacts, they can list off that information, and then they can hop right back into the Zoom. Right? Now, if you're working with someone who's you know, not really too phone savvy or internet savvy, maybe not do it because you might lose them for the whole rest of the presentation. But if they know what they're doing on Zoom, have them back right out of Zoom, go into their contacts and refer some people in. Right? So once we have a list of people, like let's say Joe gave me 7 people to go see. I'll say, okay, Joe, I'm going to do my best. I'll give you my promise that I'm going to contact these people and try to get them out their child safety kits. But to be honest with you, Joe, I'm really, really swamped right now. You know, I see about 6 to 8 members every single day. And what I'd be really doing is squeezing them in. Right? So is there anybody on this list here? You gave me 7 people to go take care of. Is there anybody on this list that you gave me that's, you know, you definitely want to make sure I get out to first? Right? So if I had to put a star next to 3 people on this list, who would you want me to put a star next to? Right? And then once they give you the people that you put a star next to, Joe, I know it's very important that we get them out to your brother Mark first. While I got you here, why don't you actually shoot him a phone call right now? That way I can get them on my schedule really quickly. That way my schedule doesn't fill up when I call them. So Joe, do me a favor. Go ahead and give Mark a call right now. That way we can just put him on my schedule today. Right? And they're not going to do it every time. Right? But the more you say it and the more you do it, the more people are going to do it. You just have to be consistent with it. Right? Now, you got to make the referral collecting fun. Right? And what I mean by that is they have to feel like it's like kind of like a game, if that makes sense. What I usually do is I tell people, hey, you know, I'm in a little contest right now at the office. We're trying, we have a big push right now to try to get as many of these child safety kits out as possible before school lets out. Right? Before school lets out and the kids go crazy for the summer, right? We want to make sure we get as many of these child safety kits out to the community as possible, right? So we're running a little contest here at work, and the person who gets most of these child safety kits out gets to go on a little trip, right? So guys, help me out. You know, I'm up there pretty high in the contest, so I just need a couple more weeks to finish this out. So, you know, who do you know that I can get these child safety kits out? Help me out. And they'll help you out. One other thing I used to do that worked a lot is I would tell them, so Mary and Joe, you know, you have a spot for all 10 people on here. And, you know, if you do, you know, help 10 families with this, the company, what they do is they let me enter you into a drawing to win $5,000. Right. And what I mean by that is I go get like little scratch off lottery tickets, like $1 lottery ticket, and I'll just put it in their package when I send it out to them. Right? I'm not lying to them. It says win one in, you know, 50,000 chance of winning five grand. Right? But it's a chance. Now, when I used to go out in person to people, I would go to like the 7-Eleven or the gas station every single day before I went out to the field, and I would spend $5 on scratch off lottery tickets, and I would bring them into houses, and I would just give it to them right then and there. I've had people win $200, $300 in front of me before. All right. And guess what they did? They bought life insurance right after that too. Right. So you want to kind of incentivize them a little bit. It's going to help that. Another good thing to do is when they have 1 or 2 people going, okay, Joe, you got 2 people down. You got 8 more spots left. Who else we got? Right. You got 6 people down. You got 4 more spots left. Who else you want to make sure we get these out to? Count them down. Coach them up. You're doing great, Joe. You got 6 people down. You got 4 more spots left. Who else do you want to make sure we get these out to? Make it fun for them. Make it exciting for them. The more fun you make it, the more exciting you make it, the better time that they have doing this, the more they're willing to refer other people to do it. All right. And the last thing I do before I leave this child safe part is I tell them, Joe and Mary, you listed 6 people that I need to get these child safety kits out to. And like I said, I'm going to do my best. I'll promise you I'll do my best to get these out to every single person that you listed down here. Right. But like I said, my job is very hectic, and I meet with a lot of people every single day. Right. What would make my job easier is if you did me a favor and shot them either a phone call or a text message to let them know I'm going to be calling them very shortly. All right. So when we get done today, guys, I need you to shoot them a phone call or a text message and let them know I'm going to be calling them about the child safety kits. You could even say, Mary and Joe, how long has it been since you had some homework? Probably pretty long, right? Well, today, good news. You're going to get some homework. Your homework today is to shoot a phone call or a text message to every single person that you sponsored in to get these kits. All right. Now I'm going to make it fun homework for you. If I call all these people and they tell me that you told them I'm going to be calling, I'll drop you off a gift card wherever you like to eat at. Or I'll buy you lunch. But on the flip side, if I call these people and they tell me that you did not contact them, you guys got to buy me lunch. Does that sound fair? And they'll laugh a little bit and they're like, yeah, that's fair. But it'll get them to do it, guys. All right. And don't be afraid if they give you 8 people and they tell all 8 people and you go see and you set 6 of those people for appointments, I'll pay $10 for that all day long. All day long. Right? So use your money to make other money. Right? This is a very good spot to do that. So making sure that they call them or text them is a big thing, because you don't want them to think you're some kind of crazy telemarketer when you're calling. Right? Now, the other thing I would tell you about texting them or having them text other people is to not do it in a group message. I'm sure you guys have all been in group messages before where one negative comment turned the whole group negative, right? All it takes is one person to say, nah, I don't need that. And then everyone else is like, yep, no, take me off, take me off, take me off, take me off. And then you just ruined all 8 of those referrals. So what I tell them is send them each an individual text message or give them a call individually. Do a little bit of homework for me, please. And they'll do it. All right. So I know I went over a lot with the child safety kits there because it's a very important asset. The child safe referrals are some of the best referrals you're going to get, guys. Number one, it's typically going to be young families who don't have any life insurance yet. Right. And number two, those young families have kids. So there's already a built-in need for life insurance. All right. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay. Does anybody have any questions about the child safety kits before I go on? Nope. We're good? All right. All right. So the way you transition from benefit to benefit is important as well. You would say, Mary and Joe, the next benefit they had set up for you is your blank. The next benefit they had set up for you was blank. Right? The next benefit your union had set up for you, or the next benefit in the child safe program is, right? After I get done with the child safety kits, I usually roll right into the, if my computer would go, I usually roll right into the AIL Plus card, right? So the next benefit that they had set up for you was your AIL Plus discount card, right? And the first thing I tell them, this is a discount program. This is not going to replace your current health insurance. So do not cancel your current health insurance. This is designed to work above and beyond. This is designed to save you some out-of-pocket costs. And it works at the pharmacy, the chiropractor, the optometrist, the dentist, right? The audiologist. All these places it saves money on. And what I usually do is I circle really big on the front here. This is not insurance. Right? So once I explain like why the card's there, like, so this card is designed to save you some out of pocket on things like the pharmacy, the chiropractor, vision, dental. The next page that's on there, or at least on our slides, is what the benefits are. So I walk them through like some of the more common uses of this card. The reason I'm doing this though, is I wanted to get a little glimpse into what their health looks like. Does that make sense? So if I know that they take a lot of prescriptions, I know that underwriting is going to be a little bit more difficult. They might not be able to qualify for it, right? So the question I ask them, I say, Mary and Joe, do you guys take a lot of prescription medications? If they tell me no, I'm like, okay, great. If they say yes, I'm like, okay, great. This can help you save some money on those. Anything they tell me, I'm going to say, okay, great about that. And I just walk them through. I say, okay, now you could see here at the pharmacy, it'll save you 10 to 85%. If they're wearing glasses, guys, Pick that out. Say, Joe, are those prescription glasses or are they cheaters? They're prescription. Okay, this can help save you some money on prescription glasses and contacts. The chiropractic aspect of it, huge. A lot of people go to the chiropractor. A lot of people pay a lot of money out of their pocket to go to the chiropractor. Right? The consultation at the chiropractor is free with this card. Right? It also works with dental. If you have Humana, it's going to save you 20 to 40% right off the top. Also works with diabetic supplements, which are very expensive. I don't know if anybody has anybody that has diabetes in their family or knows anybody that has it. It's not cheap. And a lot of the times it's not fully covered by insurance, which is absolutely insane to me, but that's the way it works. So it does save some money on diabetic supplements. The other thing it saves a lot of money on too, that's typically not covered, is MRI and CT scans. You might have to pay extra for those. Right? And I ask them, do you have any questions here about anything that's covered? Right? The common questions you guys are going to get is, can I use this with my current insurance? Yes, they can, and they should. It works with current insurance. Now, keep in mind, some places will only accept one discount. Some places will accept the highest discount, and some places will accept multiple discounts. Right? So it's not guaranteed at every place. Right? And the way it works is the providers set the discount, not our company. So there might be CVS that accepts 40% and Walgreens accepts 60%. Right? So each place is different. You had a question over there? Yeah, okay, I see it.
Go ahead.
There we go. So with the thing about providers setting the discount and not us, is it worth mentioning during the pitch, like, just so you know, the discount, it's not set by us, it's set by the providers. So you can go ahead and shop around and find the place near you that accepts the highest discount.
Oh, well, that's shorter on one of the slides. My bad. My bad, Drew. Go ahead. You're the boss here.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's what I usually say is I say the discounts are provider based, which means that every single provider, has different discounts. Some will accept one, some will accept multiple, some will accept the highest. Right. The good thing about the card is it's actually on an app now, so they can see every provider and they can see every discount that they get.
You good, Steven?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Anybody else got any questions on like the benefits it provides in the middle here?
Yeah, the telemedicine, $38 annually. What is that?
So sometimes people will order medicine like through like mail order, that type of thing. And they have to pay a certain fee for it. You really won't run into it very often. You won't run into anybody asking that, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But sometimes people got to pay to go to see the doctor through virtual or telemedicine. That's what they pay an annual fee for.
Okay.
And then once I get done explaining the benefits to them in the middle here, I tell them, now it's not a physical card anymore. It used to be a physical card. It used to be a little pink card that they would keep in their wallet, right? But just like everything nowadays, it's virtual, right? So it's actually an app on their phone. And the app is called the AIL Plus discount. So it'll say, like, if you guys look it up, you guys, and what I recommend you doing after today, fill out this, go to the Google Play Store if you have an Android and the Apple Store if you have an iPhone, and type in AIL Plus, and it'll be the first thing that pops up. Register for that card. You guys can use it. You guys can save some money on it. Why not? Right? And chances are you're going to walk through it and you're going to use it, and people are going to have some questions and you're going to be able to answer them just because you experienced it. All right. Now, when they download it, the app on their phone kind of looks like the picture on their phone there. Well, I don't know why it always does that X out thing. It looks like that on their phone. On their phone, they'll be able to see a dashboard of what providers accept the card, what discounts they can get. It'll keep a track of all of their medications and prescriptions that they take on a monthly basis, right? And if they use it on their computer, they'll have access to like customer service. They'll have access to live people giving them information on where to go. They'll be able to pull up a big map of all the providers in the area that accept the card too. Right? Now, the way that they fill out for this is during the needs analysis, there's a top part of the needs analysis that says AIL plus discount card. You're going to put their email address, their phone number, their address, and the city and state. And then once the presentation is done or once the meeting is done, after that, they'll get sent an email in about 1 to 2 days that'll have a group name and a group ID and a password so that they can log into the app. So they can download it right off the bat. They can download it when you leave them. But in order for them to open it up and actually use it, they have to wait to get an email from the company because that email has their username and password in it. Right? And that usually comes about a day to 2 days after the presentation's done. Also, when we send out the packages to them, I have a sheet that says, welcome to the AIL discount program. If you cannot access it, there's a phone number and an email address on the bottom that will help them walk through it. Okay. But the discount program, once again, the best, and this is what I tell them. I say the best part about this is if it can't help you, it can't hurt you. It doesn't cost them any money. Right. And one card or one app will take care of the entire household. They do not have to have multiple cards, husband and wife. They can have the same exact one. Right? I suggest they log into different things, but they can use the same username and password on both phones. They don't have to like enter a new password because it's a new person. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, at this point too, you can ask them for referrals. You described it, you built it up for them, why it's important to have it. Collect some referrals here, right? Now, the way you collect referrals here is letting them know about union buying power. So are any of you guys familiar with union buying power, how it works? No? Okay. So the way union buying power works is the more people that we can get involved in this program, the more providers we can get involved into it, and then the higher discounts we can get. So just last year, about the same time last year, the other card was still available. And the highest discount on there was about 35%. The highest discount on our card now is 80%. That's because more people are involved in it. The more people that get involved in it, the more companies will see that there's people there, and the more discounts they'll be able to provide. Right? So using union buying power to help this program out, the unions, they let you refer up to 5 people to get their AIL plus discount card set up for them too. Right? So maybe, who do you know that doesn't have the best healthcare right now? Who do you know that owns their own business? Who do you know that just retired? Right? People that don't have benefits like this set up for them. People that don't have health insurance. People that don't have work provided health insurance. Business owners are a great referral for this, guys. Because typically they own a business and they have employees. And their employees don't really have anything either. So you're going to collect one referral and you're going to get 5 more down the road. Now you got to make sure that you mention the union buying power aspect of it, because it's going to get people interested in it and getting them more discounts. All right. So try to collect some referrals here. You never know. Now, when you're setting these referrals on the phone for discount cards, typically you're going to get a lot of people who are in the older generation. Right? Typically people who just retired or need some extra health care taken care of. Keep in mind, they might be older. So with a discount card, we really don't want to set that appointment for 8 or 9 o'clock at night or 7 to 9 at prime time. Right? We want to set that during the day. Because if they're retired, I'm not saving a spot for them at 8 o'clock for a retired person when I could put them in at 12 o'clock. Right? Let's save the 8 to 9 spots for the people that are working and have families and get home at 6 o'clock at night. All right. Be smart when you're setting these appointments too. Now, does anybody else have any questions on the AIL Plus card? We good? Okay. All right. So the next benefit that the union had set up for you, or the next benefit that the Child Safe program had you set up with, is the Family Information Guide. Now I start by asking Mary and Joe. I say, Mary and Joe, do you guys have a will or anything like that set up? And if they tell me yes, I'm going to say, great job getting that set up. This is going to work hand in hand with that will. If they tell me, Drew, no, I don't have a will set up, what I'll say is, okay, great. This is a very, very good start to a will. And I say, why we designed this for our members is because most of our members definitely do have this information somewhere in the house. But the concern is that when that person passes away, their family has to flip through every piece of paper in the house to try to find this information. That takes time. That takes energy. Right? What we suggest is you have all this written down and you keep it in one easy location. So this Family Information Guide is designed to guide your family to the information they need when you're not here anymore. This Family Information Guide is designed to guide your family to the information they need when you're not here anymore. So I gotta get this light off my face. There we go. Now this one's in my face. There we go. All right. So the way I do it, I just walk them through how this works. So I say, guys, I'm going to walk you through how this Family Information Guide works here. Okay. The top part, that's just their personal information. Vital statistics and historical data, that's their information. Oops. Next part down is the veterans information. I asked them, Joe and Mary, are you guys veterans at all? Did you serve at all? If they say no, okay, don't have to worry about that section. If they say yes, thank them for their service. It's easy. Thank you for your service, Joe. Appreciate what you did for our country. Right? But what you're going to do is you're going to put your service number in there, the VA claim number, all that good stuff. Right? Next spot down is spouses historical data. If it's a husband and a wife or a fiance, husband, that type of thing, you're just going to write see other guide in there because you're going to send out two. Right? So you'll see the husband will have see other guide and it'll go right to the wife's, or the wife will have see other guide and it'll go right to the husband's. All right? But if they're single, you don't have to worry about that section. Oops. The next part down is the persons to be notified. This is a pretty important section on here. These are the people that are going to take care of your final arrangements. These are the people in case of an emergency that are going to be contacted. Typically, these people are going to be their beneficiaries, guys. Right? Why it's important is because at the bottom it says person to be in charge of final arrangements. I don't know if you guys come from a big family, but I do. And this has happened with my family. My dad grew up with 9 brothers and sisters down in West Virginia. And about 5 years ago, my grandmother passed away. We went to the funeral, and my Aunt Joyce and my Aunt Nancy had a falling out because of what was in the casket. It was a brooch. It was a little brooch on my grandmother's collar, basically. And my Aunt Nancy did not want that brooch on there, but she was not in charge of the final arrangements. So she was very pissed off about this and caused a whole scene at the funeral home. And to this day, I have not been back down to West Virginia to see her side of the family because of a brooch, because of a ladybug brooch, guys. Right? So very small things like that can turn into big family arguments. So naming someone to be in charge of the final arrangements is going to help kind of stop that, because other people will see, okay, they're in charge. They know what's best. All right. Now, I want to keep doing this. Clear X. Boom. Next section down is the last will and testament section. So if they do have a will drawn up, they're going to put where the attorney, who the attorney is, who their executor or executrix is, where the papers are on file at. Because what good is having a will if your family can't find it, right? Doesn't make sense to even create one. If your family can't find the will that you made, why are you even making it? Right? Especially if people put money into the will. If they go to see a lawyer and they pay thousands of dollars for it, they just wasted $1,000 and their family doesn't know where their will is. Right? Now, the next section down is by far the most important section on here. This is the estate information. Okay. Now, I say right off the bat, I say, Mary and Joe, the most important section on this whole guide is the estate information, or where your life insurance is going to go. So the reason why this is important, Mary and Joe, is because just alone last year, $1.6 billion of life insurance went unclaimed. That's a lot of money, right? That is a lot of people putting hard-earned money into life insurance policies and their families never getting that money. A lot of the time, it's because their family can't find the information they need to make a claim. So guess what they do? They call every life insurance company under the sun and they have to ask them, did my mother have a policy with you? No. Did my mother have a policy with you? No. Did my mother have a policy? Maybe. What's her name? What's her information? Right? So they're going to spend a lot of time to find that information and to get that policy claim. And to, excuse me. And to be honest with you, the funeral process is not a long process. It's a very, very quick thing. It's 3 to 5 days, right? So if their family needs that money very quickly and you can't find the paperwork for it, that's why it takes most companies 4 to 8 weeks to pay back a claim, because their members can't find their information. So if you want the money distributed quickly, write the information down, right? Now, I ask them a very important question here, guys. This is where you as an agent are going to be able to use a little bit of what they tell you for some ammo, right? This is where you're gathering information from them so they can use it down in the presentation, so you can help them effectively down the road. So the one question I want you to ask here every single time is, Mary and Joe, do you have any permanent life insurance in force right now? Right? And they can answer that one of 3 ways typically. The first thing they could say is, yes, I have some permanent life insurance in force. I'm going to say, okay, great. What company do you have it through, for example? Right? And then they'll just tell me. If they say State Farm, I'll write State Farm right here. Right? So I would say, okay, you're going to write State Farm, the policy number, and then the amount. So that all your family has to do is call one company, give them that policy number, and then they can issue that amount to your family very quickly. So that's one way that they can answer it. They can say, yes, I have permanent life insurance. Right? Okay, great. For example, who do you have it through? Right? I'm not just blatantly asking them, who's your life insurance through right here? I am asking them that, but I'm kind of tiptoeing around the question, if that makes sense. I'm asking it a little bit easier, a little bit more effectively. Now, why is it important that I know the name of the company that they have their life insurance through? Because I know that State Farm does one of certain number of products. They either do a 20-year term or they do a universal or flexible adjustable whole life policy. So that I know what they have and typically what it's going to look like for them down the road. Most of the time, State Farm is going to be a term policy, guys, just so you know that. And there's other companies out there like Primerica that does strictly term. You'll hear Lincoln Heritage, which does final expense protection. You'll hear Transamerica, who does a good bit of mix of both, right? But the only way to actually physically know which company does which product is by trial and error. Seriously, there's thousands of life insurance companies out there, guys. There's going to be some you'll hear every so often. You're going to hear State Farm a lot. You're going to hear American General. You're going to hear MetLife. You're going to hear, I don't know, Primerica. You're going to hear some of the same companies over and over and over again, right? If you get to this point and you hear a company that you have no idea of, guess what your homework is that night? Do a little bit of independent research on that company and see what kind of policies they provide. I can't tell you how many times, guys, I've fallen asleep at night with my phone in my hand looking at life insurance policies from other companies. That's what it takes. That's how I know which companies sell which products, through trial and error. I've done it so many times, right? Now, when it comes to this point, you want to say, oh, you have State Farm? Oh, that's definitely a term policy. You don't want to tell them that right there because you're not the expert in their eyes right now. All you want to do is gather information right now. Does that make sense? So if they say, oh, I have a policy through State Farm. Okay, great. State Farm, policy number and amount. I don't say, okay, you have it through State Farm. How much life insurance do you have through State Farm? What type is it? How much you pay for it a month? They're not going to tell me that right there because I'm not the expert in their eyes yet. Right? That's for the needs analysis. That's for the pie chart. That's when we're asking that information, right? Now, the second way that they could answer this is, yeah, I have permanent life insurance. It's through work. Right then and there, I smile at them and I say, okay, do you remember when I told you earlier that, everybody has a lot of benefits through work, but, once you quit, fire, retire, those go away? That's going to be the same with your work coverage as well. But what I want you to do with your work coverage, Joe, is you see down here at the bottom, it says group coverage, medical, hospital. That's where you're going to put your work coverage at, because group coverage is work coverage. So you're going to put the company, the policy number, and then there's no spot for an amount because remember, Joe, once you quit, fire, or retire, that goes away. But while you're working, you want to make sure that that's marked down, right? You're going to meet a lot of people that have life insurance through work. I can tell you probably 98% of those people have no idea what company represents them, what their policy number is, or how much it is. Because what happens is they just take $3 to $5 out of their check every single month for it, and they don't even see it. So yes, they have coverage, right? But if they don't know the company they have it through or the policy number they have it through, do they even know they have it? You got to think too, with these unions, guys, they go through contract negotiations and benefit changes every single year or every 3 to 5 years. That life insurance could be there this year. Next year, it could be gone. They could lose 1,000 members and not have enough money in their accounts to pay for life insurance anymore. So they cut it all for everybody. So that's why I say work coverage is not permanent. It could go away tomorrow. But it's good that they have it. Never tell anybody, oh man, you got to cancel that work coverage. No. If anything, they should increase their work coverage because it's $3 to $5 out of their check. It's pennies on the dollar. All right. Commend them for it. It's number one going to look good on you as an agent because you're giving them very independent, unbiased information on that. If you're telling them to keep something, keep that. And as a matter of fact, Joe, do they let you increase that at all? They do. Okay. Well, increase that sucker up as much as you can because it's going to benefit you while you're working. right? But once you quit, fire, retire, it does go away, Joe. Remember that, right? So if they have permanent coverage at work, it's not really permanent, right? But make sure that they write it down. Now, the third way that they could answer this, and this is the best way that they could answer it for you guys, is no, I don't have any permanent life insurance in force right now. At that point, you should be like, ding, let's go. Lights, camera, action, showtime, baby, right? But at that point, you're going to say, okay, you don't have any permanent life insurance in force right now. Not if, but when you get some permanent coverage, because we all need it, right? Not if, but when you get some permanent coverage, because we all need it, right? You're going to list the company, so AIL, the policy number, and then the amount. I always say AIL right here if they don't have anything. I just plant a little seed, right? So that's the best way that they could answer that for you guys. They could say, no, I don't have any permanent coverage right now, Drew. Okay. Now, when you do get some coverage, because we all need it, right? Not if, but when you get some coverage, because we all need it, right? You're going to put the company, so AIL, the policy number, and then the amount. And then I'll ask them, do you have any questions on that section at all? And they'll typically say no. All right. Do you guys have questions on that section?
Hey, Drew. Yeah, I do.
Right.
So I've been here for like an extra week, so I've been in a lot of sits, and I noticed that there is like a handful of people that say, I don't want to tell you that information. But like in the end, it comes out to them telling us, because either they tell us that they got a crazy amount and they say it's whole life to find out that it's term.
Yep.
Because of the price. So like, what are good ways to answer those so that I can take notes and be ready for them? Because I see like, it will stump you if you aren't ready for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If they're like, most people, I've never really run into that where someone told me, I don't feel comfortable giving that to you right there. That's just the fact that you didn't build enough rapport with them, and they don't trust you. But the way, if you say it the way I said it, like, okay, great. Who do you have it through, for example? I'm not really asking them the amount, the coverage they have there. I don't really care right now how much they have. I just say, okay, you're going to put the company, so State Farm, the policy number, and then the amount. But yeah, you're going to run into people who think they have one type of coverage but have another. There's a lot of people out there like that because they're not educated on the different types. No one ever told them about the main types. They had somebody come to their house and just walk them through it, and they were confused and they just signed something. Or what happens a lot of the time, guys, when people get life insurance is they click around a bunch of buttons on the internet and they see this big value over here for this small value over here. And they're like, you know what? $500,000 of coverage sounds great for $20 a month. Let's do it. Right? 20 years down the road comes up, either that policy increases way, way, way more expensive, or they don't even get to keep it. Right? So there's really no like formula or anything to like make them get the information to you. A lot of it is comfortability with you. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
And
But
control.
like, if they don't tell you, you can just like walk through the exam. Yeah, I mean, like that's like I would sit on like with Matt Hunberger, but like we've had those like no matter how great the report is, like you still have those couples that are like, well, we don't want to tell you what we already have. And that's mainly because they don't want to get upsold. Because I've been doing a lot of POSs, so they don't want to get upsold because they might have some like just accidental with us or some just crazy little things with us,
Yeah, I mean, if they have coverage with us, we already know what they have. So I'm not really even if they're a policyholder with us, I fill their information out right here. I know what they have.
Yeah. No, I'm just talking about for any additional, like when we do ask that. But I mean, you like answered sort of like what it means, like, don't even worry about it. Just say, okay, State Farm or whatever. I got you. I was just wondering.
I wouldn't really like I said, I wouldn't really dig into their life insurance right here because they're not viewing you as the expert yet.
Right.
You know, they're just seeing you as some benefits rep going over some no cost stuff with them right now. They don't know you're an expert in life insurance yet. Until you explain the difference between term and whole and you break down their situation as a family, that's when they're going to realize that you're the expert and you're there to help them. Right. So they might just be closed off at first because, I don't know, maybe someone down the road sold them a crappy policy and they're mad about every life insurance agent that comes out to them now.
Yeah.
It might just be prior experiences. There's nothing you can really do about that, but to build up your expertise for them and to show them that you're an expert, going through the term and whole and then going through their needs analysis with them. You know, these people, they honestly don't care about how much you know. They really don't, until they understand how much you care about them. If they realize that you're there to help them and you're there to better them, then they're just going to kind of give you the information. But you're right. You're going to run into like one or two people that are like, I don't really feel like giving you this information. I don't want to give you this information. Okay. No worries, Joe. I'm not collecting any of them. I'm not writing any of this down. It's never going to affect my family, right? The reason they have this here is to make sure that if something happens, that $1.6 billion doesn't come out of your pocket.
Gotcha. All right, thank you.
All right. Very good question, though. Good question.
Yep, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions about that section there? No? All right, beautiful. Next section down is the financial institution information section. Right? This section right here is to make sure that you guys make sure that they ask if they have checking accounts. So I would say financial institution information section is next. This is where you're going to put your checking and your savings information. You have a checking account, right, Joe? And they'll go, yep. Okay. Now I know I bank through PNC, so I would write PNC on there. I put the address, the city, and then the account number. That way, when I pass away, my family knows where my money is and they can take it out from the bank. Right? You guys know that there's a statute of limitations, right? 5 years. If that money is in that account for 5 years untouched, guess whose money that becomes? The bank's money. Right? So, and there's a lot of people out there that have hidden bank accounts. Like my grandma passed away. She had a hidden bank account. We didn't find it for 2 or 3 years once we cleaned out her attic. Right? And there wasn't a lot of money in there, but still, you know, it's money that we could use for something. So this is a good way to ask them if they have a checking account right now, because guess what, guys? They need a checking account to apply for coverage. Hopefully you guys haven't run into this yet, but you will. If you forget to ask these things, you'll get all the way through the application and you go, okay, now the way the company handles this is actually, you know, they handle it electronically right through your banking institution, right? So what bank do you want to use for this? And they'll be like, ooh, I don't even have a bank. Then you just wasted the last 30 minutes of filling out that app. You wasted a lot of time that you could be spending on other things because they can't even apply for it if they don't have a bank account. And don't be alarmed. You guys will realize through doing this, you'll realize that there's quite a few people that don't have a bank account and don't have full sets of teeth in their mouth. You're going to see. That's our demographic, right? You got to remember, we're not dealing with millionaires and billionaires and people that are well off. We're working with very hardworking, blue-collar type of families. So they're not going to have exorbitant expense accounts or hundreds of thousands of dollars in savings. You're not going to run into that, guys. You're going to run into people who have maybe 5, 10 grand in savings to pay for something in case something catastrophic happens. You're really going to run into a lot of people who are working paycheck to paycheck and living paycheck to paycheck and are relying on each other's income. That's the good part about our program and our benefits is that they really do help people just like us, right? Question?
So if at this point we learn that they don't have a checking account, how does that affect the rest of our pitch? Like, what do we do in that sense? Because we essentially just learned that we can't sell them life insurance.
So, all right, let me get you out here.
So, so you just close the laptop and go away. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Skip on the no cost.
So what you do in that situation is you finish the presentation. You go through everything. You show them that what they need is it. You finish the presentation. Just know at the end, they don't have a checking account, so you're not going to go all the way through the application. You're still going to show them what it recommends for them, because at that point they might be like, oh, I don't have a bank account, but my daughter does. We can use her account, right?
So you would just run it all the way to the 4 concerns, all the way up to the needs analysis then, right?
I would go all the way through the needs analysis, all the way to where it shows them the price at the bottom of the screen, and it says it's $250 for all this coverage.
Okay.
I would do that whole way through. And if they're like, yeah, I mean, I know you don't have a bank account, you know, we went over that and you kind of need one of those for it. Is there anybody you know that you know would be willing to help you out and draft out of that? Right. Now you're going to run into some people too who have like virtual bank accounts, who use Chime or another online bank. They might not think that there's a checking account, but that is.
Yeah, hey, can like people use like Cash App accounts too, or PayPal?
I don't think Cash App works.
You can, but I
Cash
would
App.
advise against it.
Okay.
Main reason why I would advise against it is because there's no like limit of what they have to have in there every month. Typically, especially with like Cash App or PayPal, people don't keep extra money in there. They don't use it as a savings account. They just use it to transfer money back and forth. And if that policy is through their Cash App, they pay it the first month. Next month, they forget that to put the money in there. Guess what happens to the policy? It lapses.
Right.
So it's not always great to have that. One that I would use, and if you need to get somebody a bank account, and they're like, if somebody's really interested in doing this, and they're like, yes, I need this 100%. I'm willing to do whatever to get it. You can sign them up for a Huntington online account. You can go rate the Huntington, and they can sign up for an online account right then and there, or they can sign up for a Chime account. Chime works as well. Chime is an online bank. They don't have any physical mortar brick locations, but they're an online banking institution.
That's Huntington or Chime?
Huntington or
Yeah.
Chime.
Chime is like really big. I used to work at a warehouse, and that's what literally 90% of the employees had, just to get that extra paycheck or like 2 days earlier or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah,
Now-
I use
and,
Chime too.
Now with Chime, guys, you cannot put Chime in the bank name. You would have to use Lincoln Savings Bank, because that's the bank that basically underwrites for Chime, that has the money for Chime.
And what address would you put for that?
Just Chicago, wherever they're at.
Oh, just like where they live?
So if they have a Chime or online savings account, you use their home address as the address for the financial institution? Or do
Well,
you find like a corporate?
Yeah, you would just put like Chime Bank, and you know I really wouldn't go too far in that with them. If it's a Chime Bank, then they could put like their location where their address is. You know. So
All right. That was a great question, Stephen.
yes, very good question. Anybody got any other questions about the financial institution information? Nope. Okay. All right. Now the next section down is a safe deposit box. These are kind of being phased out. Not a lot of people have safe deposit boxes anymore. If you run into somebody that does have one, you would just say, okay, you're going to put your safe deposit box there. Main reason why you would even mention it, if they do have one and there's no other people on it, like let's say that Joe has a safe deposit box and Mary's name isn't on it. In order for Mary to access that, she has to have some documentation of why it's there. Because when Joe dies, everything gets locked up in probate, which means no one can access anything in that lockbox. Probate takes about 6 to 8 months to go through. It's not quick. So if there's a life insurance policy in there or some money in there that you need when he passes away, you got to make sure both names are on that safe deposit box. All right. Safe deposit box, I just quickly run through it. Do you guys have a safe deposit box? Yes. Okay. Make sure you put that information in there. All right. Now, the other very important section down here at the bottom is the funeral service request. Right. Why this is important is because we're getting them to think about how they're going to pass away, how they want to go out. We're getting them to think about death right here. Right? So the way I start this is I say, Mary and Joe, everybody's got their own way of going out. Whether it's a burial, whether it's a mausoleum or cremation, just mark it down your way. That way no one's going to fight about it. Right? And you can even mark down if you want to wear glasses, what kind of jewelry you want to wear, what kind of clothing you want to wear, where the service is held at. If you have prepaid things on there, right? Everybody's got their own way of going out. Just mark it down your way. That way no one's going to fight about it. And if you have any special instructions or anything unique you want done, like if you want to be like cremated and shot off into space or like mummified, or maybe have like a Viking funeral or something like that, you can put that down here on special instructions. Guys, I've been doing this for 5 years. I've heard everything under the sun. I've heard so many different crazy things that people have done with passing away and interment. Right?
Hey, Drew, I actually used to work at a cemetery. I was actually about to join the local one, SEIU.
Mhm.
And one of the craziest ways, sort of off topic, but sort of on topic, craziest ways is that they would pretty much make you into fertilizer and make you grow into a tree and put a little plaque with your name on it.
Yeah.
And
That's what I wanted to do for a long time. I think it's one of the coolest things.
I think that's a pretty cool thing, to be honest with you, because what would you rather go to, a big park full of grave markers or a big park full of trees?
facts, yeah. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of different ways to do it nowadays. So yeah, that's really great.
You can be cremated and turned into a diamond.
Yep.
There's all kind of cool stuff out there, and some of it's pretty expensive. Like I'll tell you a real life story. My best friend, his ex-wife now, I got them policies when I was first starting out, and I was sitting down with her and I was like, how do you want to go out? I just asked her a very serious question. Like, if you went out tomorrow, how would you want to be laid out? And she said, I want to be mummified. I said, mummified? No. I didn't even know you could do that. So I was like, I wonder how much this costs. So right in front of her, we Googled it, how much it costs to get mummified. Anybody take a guess how much it costs?
$5,000.
Like
Way more than
nothing.
that. Way more than that.
20,000.
It's about 40 grand. It's about $40,000.
And then that's gonna double by the time she dies too. So it's gonna be like 80,000.
Yep. So that's
Yikes.
my thoughts exactly. When I sat down with them, I got her $100,000 whole life policy to make sure that any kind of concerns after that was all taken care of. Right. So only reason why I even mention those special instructions, if they have anything unique they want done, they'll let you know. They'll say, oh yeah, I want like a Viking funeral. You guys know what a Viking funeral is? They basically put you in a boat and they push you off to the water and they shoot flaming arrows at it and they light you on fire. Right? So special instructions is a little kind of pick me up there to get them, back into the conversation, get in the talk a little bit there. Right?
A little bit of rapport.
Yeah, exactly. And then the last thing here is at the bottom of the screen, they can get this notarized right here where it says signature. And this will hold up as a legal document. Keep in mind, though, it's not designed to go through court proceedings. It's not designed to get to leave certain things to certain people. It's not a will. The only thing it's designed to do is get your family the information they need when this time comes, to give you a voice when you don't have one. Right? So, that's basically the family information guide. You guys are going to get more information about them on this part right here than any other part. Right? So, do you any ladies, any guys have any questions on the family information guide? How to describe it, how to walk through with it? Nope. Cool. All right. So, the next benefit that the union had set up for them, if it's a union member, the next benefit I go into is their A, B, and D certificate. Right? Walking them through how their accidental certificate works. All right, so I'm going to pull one up here. Give me a second. I have a couple saved. Whoops. All right, let me find it. All right. Let me printed. So I'm trying to find it for you guys. Okay. Let's click on a random one. See what this is here in a second. All right. So when I have their AD&D certificate, I usually already have it ready to go. So I'll just pop it right onto the screen. So this is their accidental death and dismemberment certificate, right? So to the right here, that's their card that they filled out. Usually it'll be in their handwriting, but you can see this one's from an internet response. They filled it out online, right? So I first thing I'd say, Joe, that's your handwriting, right? And he might go, yeah, that's me. Or he might go, that's my wife's handwriting. Okay, great. Just want to make sure that I verified that for you, right? Now, the next thing I do is I walk them through how it works. So your group accidental death and dismemberment certificate, all members are covered. As long as you're a due paying member with the Firefighters of Illinois, this policy is going to be active for you. Now, Bradley, there's going to be two numbers over here. There's going to be an SG number and an ID number. The SG number attaches American income to the Firefighters of Illinois. The ID number attaches the Firefighters of Illinois to the member. So the ID number is going to be unique for every member. The SG number is going to be unique to that union. Does that make sense? So everybody in the firefighters has the same SG number, but not the same ID number. Now, I just walk them through how it works. I say, now, Bradley, this policy is for the benefits for the accidental loss of your life, both hands, both feet, both eyes, one hand, one foot, one hand, one eye, one foot, one eye. If anything in that first category happens, $4,000 comes out to you, Bradley, if you're still alive. If you do pass away because of the accident, it comes out to your wife, Heather. Do you have any questions on that? Don't say no. It's pretty simple. And then I also tell them, now you're going to get half that amount, so $2,000 would come out if you lost your hand, one foot, or one eye. So not enough to really go cutting your hand off about, but if it does happen, that's what it's there for, right? Now I'll ask them again, you guys have any questions on how it works? No? Okay, great. Scroll down a little bit on there for them. Show them there are some exclusions to this policy, right? Mainly suicide, sickness, voluntary taking of drugs, acts of war, committing felonies, right? Or taking part in a riot. Typically, all those things aren't accidental anyway, right? And then at the bottom, last thing we do with them, I say, whatever this guy's name is, Bradley. I say, Bradley, when we send the certificate out to you, everything from that blue line up is going to be sent out to you. Anything from that blue line down, we keep at the office for our records. So I have to verify everything that's on there for you. So Bradley, your name spelled right? Yep. Okay. You got your address is 212 Burnett Avenue in Lake Villa. That's still correct? Perfect. Okay. We also, your date of birth look right on there as well? Yep. Okay, great. Now, the only thing you see, there's no spot for a phone number, Bradley. So what they need in here, they need Heather's phone number. So what's the best contact phone number for Heather? Right? And I put it in there. I usually just write it down on a piece of paper next to me and keep it with me. Right? So when I do get this, I put their phone number in, I cut it off and I save it at the office. Right? So once all that's verified, your job here is to collect a contingent beneficiary. So I'd say, okay, if all that stuff, if all that information looks right there, we're good to go. Last thing for you here though, Bradley. Now, basically, Bradley, me, you, and Heather are really the only people that know about this policy right now. So God forbid if something happened to Heather before you, Bradley, or you and Heather together, who would you want this money to go to then? Who would be your contingent beneficiary? Right? So I'll collect a contingent beneficiary. I'll get two of them. Why not? Those are 2 referrals right there. Right? You can call them and say, hey, Joe, your brother Bradley named you as the contingent beneficiary of their policy through our company. So basically, number 1, I got to see if you do accept that responsibility. Number 2, I got to get out to you and make sure you understand everything. Send them for an appointment, right? Contingent beneficiaries are great, great, great sources of sits and sales. All right. But that's all that it's involved in the AD&D certificate. It's pretty easy to walk through for them. I just read the things off on the screen. Do you guys have any questions on the AD&D at all?
Just to make sure, the riot part, it's when they're participating in the riot, not like if they get hurt, if there's a riot near them, right?
Correct. You got to be
Okay.
participating in it. Correct. All right. So that's basically, one of the last no-cost benefits they have. The final no-cost benefit I'm going to go over with you guys today is the will kit. Okay. So the will kit itself, and what I'm going to do when we get done here, I want you guys in the office. Well, I'll see you a little bit later. I'll grab your emails off you and I'll send it to you. And I have Christy and Tasha's emails and I have Chad's email. So I'll send this out to you later today. What I'm going to send to you is I'm going to send you this exact PDF, and I'm going to send you a video or a link to a video that has the guy that created this program walking you through how it works, the long version and the short version of it. That's how I learned how to do this. I just watched that video over and over and over and over again, right? Now, with the will kit, when you're sitting down with them, I would say, the next benefit they had set up for you was your last will and testament. Or I would say the meat and potatoes of what we're going to go over today is your last will and testament kit, right? Now, I don't know if you guys have actually seen the kits themselves, but there's 2 versions of it. There's a blue copy and then there's a green copy. The blue copy is a workbook. The workbook is designed for them to mess up, fix, change, replace, update. It's designed for that. It's designed to walk them through how it works. So the workbook, if you're looking at the workbook, each page, when you flip open the workbook, the page on the left and the page on the right are the same exact information. Except on the left side of the page, it's going to show you how to fill it out. And on the right side, it's going to have blank lines for you to transfer the information over. Right? And then the green version is the actual final documents. So once they get the whole blue version finalized, they'll just transfer everything over to the green version. They'll get the green copy notarized, and it'll hold up as a legal document. Right? But when I walk them through this, I walk them through the green version of it. Right? So I say, Mary and Joe, this is what your will kit's going to look like when it comes out to you. It's going to have this nice, lovely family on the front of it here. And then on the first page, you'll see a line that says, this will kit belongs to, you put your name there, right? Pretty self-explanatory there. Now, the second page is where we're going to dig into the actual will, right? So I basically briefly walk them through each one of these articles, and you'll have this, see how it has red on here? We got to thank Lita for this because Lita did this, okay? I basically went over this with her for 2 or 3 hours and walked her through it really, really extensively on it. And she wrote down a lot of information on it, right? So, and I told her, hey, send me this because I'm going to use it for training. So the first part, top part there is all their basic information. So this is them as a person. Article number 1 is identification of their family. So they're married to, right? Their children's names are, right? The only reason why you're going to put this is because if they refer to their spouse down the road, this is who they're going to refer to. If they refer to my children down the road, that's who they're going to refer to, right? There are those names that are in those lines. Now, article number 2 is probably one of the more important articles on here. Article number 2 states that the payments and debts of the estate are the responsibility of the executor. I'll say it one more time. The responsibilities of the debts and expenses of the estate are the responsibility of the executor. Okay. So what that means, guys, is if, let's say Joe passes away, and when Joe dies, he has, $50,000 in life insurance that's going to go to his estate. But what also is left in Joe's estate is $20,000 in debt. Now, Joe left his brother Mark as the executor. If Mark just takes this 50 grand and distributes it to the family and gives it to everybody, Mark's legally on the hook for that 20 grand that he owes. Right? So what Mark has to do is use that 50,000 to pay off that 20,000 and then give the 30,000 to the family. This is how people become in debt because their family owes debt. The executor takes on those responsibilities, distributes the positive assets, the negative assets go to them, and they're screwed for the rest of their life now. Only reason I mention this is because if they're going to name somebody as the executor, make sure that they understand their responsibilities. Right? Once again, all payments and debts of the estate are the responsibility of the executor. Right? Article number 3 is the article of disposition of property. Now, this is what most people think about when you give a will, when you write up a will, right? Now, there's about 4 different types of property you could leave to somebody. The first type of property is called a specific bequest, right? That's leaving a certain thing to a certain person. I leave my car to this person who resides here. I leave my house to this person who resides here. I leave my jewelry. I leave my, like fur collection. I leave the photo albums to this person. This is anything that either has real value or intrinsic value to your family that you can leave to somebody, right? So in the actual will documents, there's like 36 different lines that they could leave something to somebody. In the workbook, there's only about 11. So if they're filling out the workbook and they, get past all 11, they can just use a piece of paper and fill out the rest and then transfer it over to the final copy. Okay. So that's the first type of property that you can leave to somebody, right? The second type of property that you could leave to somebody is what's called a digital asset, right? That's something that's either costing you money online or making you money online, right? So Netflix, Hulu, Facebook, phone bills, anything that's electronically drafted from your account every single month. You want to make sure that that stuff is shut down because honestly, Netflix does not know or care that you died. They're still going to pull that $15 a month out of your account no matter what. Same with Verizon. They don't give a shit that you died. They're going to be taking that $250 out of your account for the phone bill every month until you tell them to stop it. Right? Now, where they're going to put their digital assets is on the last page of the will. So on the last page of the will documents themselves, you'll see a bunch of lines that'll say Schedule B. It should be right here. Yeah, one more page up. See how it says, or Schedule A. Sorry, I meant to say Schedule A. It'll say Schedule A right there. So the last page of the actual will is where they're going to put their digital asset information at. The name of the asset, how to access it, so the website, username and password. All that stuff's in there. Etsy shops, Shopify shops, anything either costing you money online or making you money online. All right. Anybody got questions on that? Okay. Back up to the main part here. The third type of property that you could leave to somebody is what's called the remaining tangible personal property. I was getting ahead of myself. Remaining tangible personal property is anything that's left over in the house. Furniture, dishes, Tupperware, old clothes, things that need to be cleaned out of the house. You're going to nominate one person to take care of that and put their name on that line. That person can do whatever they want with it. They could have a yard sale. They could donate it all. They could do whatever they want. It's under their discretion. All right. And then the last type of property you could leave to somebody is what's called the residuary estate. So that's any kind of liquid assets that you have. So like 401ks, savings accounts, IRAs, life insurance policies, anything that's going to go to your estate and become liquid, you can split that up per person. You can see there's a bunch of different lines here, right? Each person could have a certain percentage. The only thing that has to be done at that is it has to add up to 100% at the bottom. If it adds up to 97%, the judge could throw this out because of incompetence. Because you don't know how to fill this out right, they could throw this out of court. It could be null and void. So the big thing is making sure that they add up to 100% at the bottom. All right. Anybody got any questions about the type of property you could leave to somebody? Nope. All right, perfect. Oops. All right, article number 4. Article number 4 is nomination of personal independent representative. You're going to nominate the executor and the backup executor. Right? It says executive here, but that's a little typo. Don't worry about that. It's executor or executress, either one. So nominate one person and then a backup. Article number 5 is a nomination of digital executor. Article number 4 and article number 5 could be the same exact person. They don't have to be different people. They could be the same person. But if your family's like anything like mine, like I said, I grew up with 5 brothers. My little brother is a freaking computer genius. He knows how to do everything on it. If there's anything I need to do with a computer, I email or call him. He's probably going to be in charge of my mother's digital executorship because he knows more about that stuff, right? This could be the same person. It could be different people. It doesn't matter, right? Next part down, article number 6 is the nomination of guardian. If you're sitting down with somebody and they're the guardian of anybody under the age of 18, they have to nominate someone to take care of that child. If they do not, that child is going into protective services and he's going into the system. Now, once that child's in that system, he's not in there for a week. He's not in there for 5 days. He's in there for months. It's not quick, right? And there's a lot of court proceedings and paperwork and filing and lawyers and all the stuff that has to be involved to bring that child out of that system. And to be honest, the judge is not just going to give your cousin custody of the kids because he's your cousin. He doesn't know your cousin from a guy down the street. He's not just going to hand over custody of the kids to that. If you have it written down, he definitely will abide by that though. Right? So there's a spot where you can nominate a primary guardian and then a backup guardian as well. Okay. Now you're going to run into a lot of people who don't have the guardianship of their kids, so you can just skip over that if they're not the guardian of any little kids, right? Article number 7 is the nomination of pet guardian, right? Who is going to take care of your pets, right? A lot of people's pets are like their children. I have a little dog. It's like my son. I would do anything for my dog. I paid $2,000 2 months ago for him to go to the ER because he had pneumonia. All right. So I'd do anything for my dog. He's been with me for 12 years now. It's like my son. If anything happened to me, I know my mom would take care of him. So I put my mom down there. And think about this, guys. My dog's 12 years old. If I don't nominate anybody to take care of him, guess where he's going? He's going to the animal shelter. And he's probably not going to be there too long because he's old. Right? So the harsh reality of it is that that pet might not be around for your family anymore if you don't nominate anybody. Now, some people don't have pets. You don't have to go over that. Right? All right. Next section down is article number 8. There's nothing for them to fill out there. This is just what the powers of the executor has, what they can do. Article number 9 is a digital executor's powers. What I tell people here, this is some legal jargon, what exactly what the powers of the executor and digital executor are. Read through this before you nominate somebody to be the executor. Right? Article number 10, special directives. What they want done with their funeral. If they want to be buried, if they want to be cremated, what funeral home they want to go to, what they want to wear, a guest list, who they want there, who they don't want there. right? What kind of flowers they want arranged. All that stuff's going to go there as their last wishes, right? Article number 11 are just some more miscellaneous provisions. I just have them, I say take a few minutes, read through those provisions. There's some legal jargon there, right? Then the next page down is where they're going to get this notarized, right? So this does need to be notarized to hold up as a legal document. Now, if they're a public notary themselves, they cannot notarize their own will, and they know that. Okay, they probably won't even ask you that because they know that. It's illegal to do that. But the way I do this is I have them make it easy on themselves. If I didn't collect bank information before, if I didn't ask them for their bank, if I didn't ask if they have a bank, right? Here's a good time to do it right now. I could say, now Joe and Mary, I bank through PNC, and I know that PNC has a notary public on hand. Who do you guys bank through? And they'll say, oh, Chase. I'll say, yep, Chase has a notary public on hand as well. We actually work really closely with Chase. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this down to Chase, and you're going to have them notarize it for you. And what they're going to do is they're going to grab 2 bank tellers as witnesses. Because not only do you need to have the notary sign this, you need to have 2 witnesses sign it as well. Right? So witnesses should not be family members. They should not be friends. They should not be anybody that's in this will at all. It's a conflict of interest. They need to be strangers, mailmen, neighbors. That's why I tell them to go to the bank, because number one, every single bank, guys, has a notary public on hand. They have to. Number 2, they all have bank tellers on hand too. So they're going to grab 2 bank tellers or grab 2 people in line at the bank and tell them to come over here and sign this real quick. The witnesses do not have any legal repercussion for this will at all. All it's stating is that the notary and the executor, or the notary and the person filling out this will, are not the same person, and that they signed it on the same day. That's it. All right. Pretty simple explanation right there. Now, the will kit as well is a living will. So do you guys know the difference between a will and a living will? No? Okay. Most of our members don't know either. So in order to explain it to them, so a will takes care of things when you die. A living will is going to take care of things when you're alive, but don't have a voice anymore. You're in a persistent vegetative state. You're on breathing tubes. You are not able to physically think or act for yourself. Right? That's when the living will would kick in. Now, the living will, as you can see right here, it says the designation of surrogate, the designation of healthcare surrogate belongs to, you'll put your name there. Right? Now, this is only going to kick in if they have a terminal condition, an end state condition, or in a persistent vegetative state and are both mentally and physically incapacitated. So if anything like this happens here and they're at the hospital, this is going to kick in and it's going to tell their family what to do or what they want done, right? You can see nutrition and hydration on there. Pregnancy, if something pops up when they're pregnant, right? Nutrition and hydration, it says, if I have a condition stated above, it is my preference to receive or not receive artificially administered nutrition. So on a feeding tube. They can initial, right here, yes, or right here, no. Pretty easy. Next thing down is other requests. So this would be like life support, or it would say maybe because of my religion, I'm not able to receive blood transfusions, or because of my religion, I'm not able to be on feeding tubes, or because of this, I want the plug pulled, or I want to live as long as possible, keep me on these machines. In the actual workbook, there's a big description of things that they could put in there, okay? Next page down is what the limitations are, basically. So you're going to designate a surrogate to take care of it. You're going to designate one healthcare surrogate, or who is in charge of making decisions, if you can. And then the part B and C are the limitations of that surrogate, what they can't do. And then at the bottom, 2 alternate surrogates got to also take care of this. So you're going to now basically name 3 people to take care of you health-wise. Right? And then once again, after that, they're going to have the notary and 2 witnesses sign this part 2. So 2 witnesses and then a notary at the bottom. Right? And then the page after that is where the digital assets are. And then after that, there's nothing else. That's the will kit for them. Right? The last thing I leave them with here is I say, Mary and Joe, the smartest thing to do with this is to make 4 different copies of this, at least 4 copies. Right? They're going to keep a copy with them at the house. They're going to keep a copy with their executor or executrix. They're going to keep a copy with their healthcare provider or their doctor. And they're going to keep a copy with their lawyer or attorney. That way, at least 4 different people have the same information. All those people might not be involved in the will or might not have any repercourse for the will, but as long as they have the will, that your family can find it and use the information. So typically make 4 copies, 1 at the house, 1 with the executor, 1 with the lawyer, and 1 with your healthcare provider. Make sense? Okay. So that's basically the last no-cost benefit. After this no-cost benefit, you would roll right into life insurance with them and then go into the needs analysis, right? So, that's basically, only thing I really have for you here today is that. I don't really have anything else for you guys. I usually like to leave you guys a little bit of time after to ask questions or things like that. And I really want you guys to realize too, this took me 2 hours to go through with you and walk it down and break it down for you. When you're sitting down with your members, these no-cost benefits should take 15 to 20 minutes to get through, if that. If you're collecting referrals, maybe a little bit longer, but each one of these benefits maybe 5-6 minutes on. Does that make sense? Now, if they have a lot of questions, answer their questions. Please answer their questions. Don't fly through it, right? And if you see that they have interest in something, stop and slow down a little bit. Like if they're asking you a lot of questions on the family information guide, take a couple more minutes and work them through with them. They're going to see that you're trying to help them and they're going to trust you, right? It's a way to build trust with them. Steve, you had a question, right?
Yeah. Obviously, my script training so far, I hadn't gotten this much detail into the will. But my question was going to be, should I be prepared to walk through it with the member the way you did it with us when I'm giving my pitch?
Yes.
Or is it like you said? Okay, so I should be ready to do that, but I'm not going to do that every single pitch.
Correct.
Like,
Yeah, you're only really going to go over the will kit for people who request the will kit, right? You're not going to go over the will kit with union. Does that make sense?
Okay. So if they specifically request a will kit, I should be ready to go through it the way you did with us. But then, what's the kind of what's the overview that I give? Just if I'm not just kind of, this is the will kit, this is the workbook. It's just, what do I say in that 5 or 6 minutes that I'm covering it if I'm not going in depth like that?
So kind of what I did here for you. And then, like I said, I'm going to send you guys a link to a video that has, his name's Mark Zipper. He's going to walk you through how the long version that I just did for you. And he's going to walk you through a very short 5-minute version of it too. I would go with what he says, short 5-minute version of it,
Okay.
So I took a little extra time to walk through it, but I usually just kind of fly through it for them. And if they have questions, they stop me. You know what I mean?
Okay, so I should be ready just to, when I'm giving the presentation, just kind of scroll through it and be like, this is where you put your executor, this is digital assets, like your Netflix account and stuff like that. This is your living will, should you be in coma, just not go in depth, but just kind of point out each of the headlines as I scroll through it, unless they stop me and are like, what about that? What about that?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
100%. All right. Good question. Very good question. Good question. Anybody else have any other questions before I let you guys go? Nope. Okay, cool. So the only thing I'm going to have to get is Brian's email address, and then I'll grab your 2 email addresses at the office because I'll be there in a couple minutes. But Brian, if you could, can you in your chat, can you put your email, in the chat, can you put your email address for me so I can email you the PDF that I went through, and the videos to watch on it. Perfect. All right, cool. I got it, Brian. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today. Hope you learned some things. Hope this was very informative. Let's go out and crush these phones tonight. Get some appointments for Friday and Saturday, and let's go rock this deal. March Madness is in the swing, baby. Let's go. All right, let me write this email address down real quick.
Andrew, I'm sorry, but I'm working with Vince, so I'm after you.
That's cool, man. Don't worry about it, man. I'm good. I love competition.
Great, me too.
All right, fellas. I'll see you here very shortly.
All righty.